Hi guys, and welcome to this upload for you guys right here on Open Mic Night. As I say everywhere, there's got to be nightfall somewhere. That's why I don't always film at night time, because I'm not that mad. But I'm insane to watch the current WWE products, but I still give you my honest take towards professional wrestling. And you have joined my journey to Road to 100. I can't believe I've gained 2 new subscribers. Yes, 2. So I'm up to 15 subscribers now. That was a massive achievement in the short space of me being here on this Open Mic Night channel. Now, I want to say to every one of you guys is I am really ecstatic, and I really can't wait for Forbidden Door. I really could not. I've got to get this out there, right? I don't normally brag how much I actually spent on Forbidden Door, but I'm going to brag because it's worth bragging, because I've saw the influx on my phone today from this morning on TikTok, on Facebook, on Threads, on X. I'm not down with the kids, I'm calling it Twitter because I'm damn old school, damn it. That people are giving WWE backlash towards their tickets. And I said in my upload, I'm waiting for it. And yet, when you go to purchase a ticket, phenomenal price, isn't it? With booking fees, handling fees, etc. What are they actually handling these days? You know? Because Ticketmaster always put a handling fee or some way of wording it differently, and you are actually getting on your mobile phone as a digital QR code. You know? You don't get a physical ticket. If you want a physical ticket, you got to pay extra for that. And it looks like a fucking bookmark. I learned that mistake from Clash of the Castle 2022. You know, that was decently priced for where we were sitting. And I look at the way they're pricing them, guys. Some tickets are over 600, some tickets are over 500, some tickets are over 400. And in the Blitz, it's not exactly cheap these day and age. You know, I know everything goes up in price, but dear old WWE, if you are watching this, and I can't stress you enough, how much did you bullshit us over the years that how much you care about the European market? You're looking to get WrestleMania over here. Oh, you give us PLEs, you give us UK tour. No, you just see us as a ka-ching, ka-ching cash machine. You know, even if we slip our cards online to book our tickets right now. You know, you could literally, I could pick up my phone, and I'm not saying I'll book right now because I can't afford to. You know? And I feel sorry for the people, like I've said in yesterday's upload, right? I'm an avid fan in my house. I know my cousin is. He's over the age, but imagine how he was when I first took him to his first house show. You know? He's mesmerised. He was flabbergasted. This was many years ago. Right? Those tickets cost me roughly £40 each. You know? They weren't the greatest seats in the house. But at least one thing I can actually look back and say, I went to the NXT Takeover tour, and that was £75. You know, I'm not being funny, but one thing I did not like after WWE, and this is me not me bitching and moaning, but me stating a fact. Right, you hyped up so much to the Black and Gold era. You did us 2 tours in the UK. I went to Liverpool with my friend Stephen Hollywood. God rest his soul. I'm not bashing the guy. And he said that's the best ever wrestling show he went to. For a house show, right? We was in decent seats, decent view. He could get good, decent photos. I wish I had some of the copies of the photos that he actually took back then. On his, and he enjoyed himself. You know. Then they bring NXT UK out, and then just say a giant FU to the UK scene. Then say giant FU that people in demand wanted NXT to come back. When it was the Black and Gold era, then never bothered coming back. We just got NXT UK. What was the point of taking over the Brit scene and taking all the top talent to put them under your umbrella, not pay them as much as you're making out, that compared to the main roster-wise, no disrespect to them, but then you literally gave us an independent show that was already known and branded around here in the United Kingdom. What was the point in that? You know? But what I'm getting at is, because of the prices that I was paid back then, I was satisfied. I was happy. Then I look at the way you are pricing out people, like fans. Imagine the families have to struggle, right? I saw a woman on TikTok, which I've stitched her video, right? She said to me she's got 4 boys and her partner, and they were £500 each. That's £3,000 for Monday Night Raw. If I'm not mistaken, that's near enough. I could be wrong. That's near enough what my friends have paid for WrestleMania for themselves. You know, that's the flights included. That's the hotel included. And the ticket to the event. Even though WrestleMania was drizzling shits this year. Right? And that covered 2 nights. I think it covered Raw and SmackDown as well. I could be wrong. But I think it did. Just by his vlogs, TNS Attitude, big shout out to you, my friend. But yeah. This is freaking nuts. Where they can sit there and think, they'll literally blame Ticketmaster for this. They'll blame Ticketmaster because they'll use that as a scapegoat. Right? But the pricing. Such a fucking pricing out, you stupid idiots. I can't get where they think the pricing is, right? She said it was £500 each, right? I've said this in yesterday's update, and I'll say it again. This covered my pretty much London weekend, and a bit cheaper. You know? I'm not going front row, fair enough. I want to buy an event chair at some point. Oh shit, that's 3 chairs I need to buy at some point. You know? If I go back in the history of fucking WWF, like Insurrection 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003. I went to them. I went to all to the UK events, you know, because that was my WrestleMania, Rebellion, UK Rampage when I was a little kid, back in 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993. You know, I think 1993 was in Sheffield Arena, just up the motorway from me, not that far away. So, you know, I knew there was going to be a backlash from it. And yet, when you go to book a ticket, you look at the tickets, how many are left? Hardly any. They're not going to listen to the people that are on social media that fucking talk about your stuff, promote your stuff, good things or bad things. You're only going to promote the people that talk good about your product. And that's just me fucking being honest. You know? I've been loyal to this company. You know? Since I was a little kid, before the world of the internet. I was proud to wear my Bret Hart shirt. I was proud to wear my own Hart shirt. You know, I was proud to be a wrestling fan. I'm still proud to be a wrestling fan in 2025. You know? But I'm not proud of the pricing. But anyway, I digress on all that. But I knew for well there was going to be backlash. And I want to talk about something that's really dear to my heart. Obviously professional wrestling related. Women's wrestling. I love women's wrestling. I adore it with a passion. Because the amount of years over the years they've been overlooked by the WWE. Even though they showboated them more or less in the wrong sort of way in the Attitude Era. Golden Era, I feel like when we had the Alundra Blaze, I feel like that era of women's wrestling was overlooked by what happened in the Attitude Era. The Ruthless Aggression Era, that was fantastic. Somewhat when you had golden matches with Lita and Trish. You know. Candice Michelle, she was great. And then you got this generation that's come through since Evolution 1. No disrespect to the roster they had for Evolution and the Women's Revolution, as you want to call it. I would actually say this day and age, right? WWE have got a plethora of really, really good, talented women on there. And it's going to be hard to showboat them all. Granted. Because if you are building up towards the PLE, which I see a pattern forming, you're going to have 5 matches on it. Which is not going to give it justice. You are fucking not going to give it justice. This is why I say when it comes to women's wrestling, when it literally comes to it, it's always dubbed as a piss break for many, many years. Right? TNA are getting it with the women. NXT are getting it right with the women. That's why you've recently done some promoting to the main roster to give fresh faces. You're getting it right with AEW. You're catching it right at the right market. But the problem I feel with WWE, this PLE is going to be worse than the first one, even though you've got great talent. Because you're already sort of teasing towards building it. I don't know if this event's been officially confirmed or anything. But if this is like coming in July, you are leaving it late technically to build this, even though you are actually giving us women's matches. But it's not elevating any women whatsoever. It just feels like exhibition stuff, even though it's good stuff. Right? What I would love them to do, right, I know it's a big ask, but which is rumoured in speculation is going to be the main event, which I thought, when Jade Cargill first started WWE, I thought they were literally going to push her to the moon and out of the stratosphere. You know, like the way they did with Charlotte, and then put her versus Charlotte at a WrestleMania. Not with the current storyline, what was going off towards that road to WrestleMania. When she came back, they could have easily done Jade Cargill kicking her out the Rumble. But no, they want Charlotte to win it. I know, guys. Before anyone judges me. But I see it this way. Right, to elevate your women's division, which you are trying to do but not doing it correctly, you need to focus on your standpoints. And if you are bringing this PLE out, right, you've got a partnership with TNA. You've got NXT. You've got Raw and SmackDown. You just recently bought AAA out. You could easily do, and if you really wanted to, you could do an invasion angle with all the plethora of women that you have got on your platforms. Have them invade Impact Wrestling. Have them invade AAA. Invade that. You know, have them invade Monday Night Raw. Have them invade SmackDown. Don't leak who's coming to the show, or don't post on social media what matches you got planned. Even though, have them invaded for matches, etc. You know, have them across brand. Because I can't say that when I look at Evolution 2025 is going to be great. I can't say that because I don't know what WWE's plan for it, and you ain't got that much long. If this is meant to be in 8 weeks' time, what is rumoured and speculated that it's in July. This is the way, and the only way you can do this. Yeah, fair enough. You've sent some women or men to NXT. From NXT to TNA. And vice versa. The way you could do this is have it all those brands. It all makes sense. If they do that, because you can't just say, they started a revolution, they've started this, and the usual spiel that Stephanie bowled out to us back in the day when they did this last. Was it 2002? Sorry, 2022, last one. If I recall, I can't remember on top of my head. and then it eased off the pressure. I feel like you need to do an invasion angle. You know, and you've literally got plethora of women that are actually on the roster. You have literally got plenty of women on your roster. You've got good talent there. You know, it was a big risk to take that risk to push up these women from NXT. And you've got them up on your main roster. You know, you're elevating these women. Great, don't get me wrong. That's why I felt weird when I was watching Raw and SmackDown recently. You are definitely elevating women. I give you full props for that. But why now? This is where I've literally wanted an all women. The way I feel, you know, to take this into the next level. You know, after this event, WWE over the years have been known for taking risks. Some succeed, some fail. The prime example, the rebirth of ECW. You know, when you had the likes of Paul Heyman running the show, then all of a sudden disappears. Then you did as the Cruiserweight Classic. Fantastic 2 tournaments we actually had. We had really good shows there. Then you brought 205 Live. You made that drizzling shits. This is why I feel like, in a way, if you want to elevate your women even more, make it an all women's company. You know, as part of the brand. If you are going to want to make women to the stratosphere, but you just got to get the storylines right. I've not watched NXT in a while. I've not watched TNA in a while. But the talent they've got, AAA Wrestling's got good women's talent. If you've acquired and bought out AAA, this is one way you could show about the women. Actually, as the reason why it's dubbed as Evolution. You can't say it's Evolution because if you've got the likes of just the main roster, it doesn't work. Granted, I will look forward to Jade Cargill versus Charlotte Flair. Don't get me wrong, it's one match I've wanted for a while. Like I've mentioned, since Jade Cargill joined the likes of the WWE. But where can you go from there? You're going to have Becky versus Lyra, a massive long feud leading towards that to settle the score. You know, it baffles me. It really does. I say it a lot when stuff baffles me. You know, look what we got at the moment. And Money in the Bank only just round the corner. Start building from that. No, start building that. I'm hoping from tonight on SmackDown. I really am, because it's doing my head in, the weekly products at the moment. You know, and if you are going to do this Evolution pay-per-view, you need more than just 5 matches. You need to, I know this sounds weird to say it, but start from the ground up. What I mean by that, start the card. 2 new signings. Or whatever. Then obviously progress and all the way that. And then probably have a fatal 4-way match at the main event. 1 from AAA, 1 from NXT, 1 from the main... fatal 5-way. 1 from the SmackDown brand, 1 from the Raw brand, 1 from AAA. I think I just said AAA twice, I do apologise. But if you get what I mean. And I don't mean like, oh yeah, WWE's going to win this. No. If you want to show how much evolution's actually happened in women's wrestling, showboat what all brands have. You know, it drives me sick when I think about it. When I look at Worlds Colliding, you didn't put TNA on that. And it doesn't look like you are going to put TNA on that. But yet, AAA want to work with TNA. They want to work with NXT. They want to work with WWE main roster. You know, it worries me when you literally, when I look at Natalya Neidhart. You know, I've seen her evolution in pardon the pun, evolution in WWE, and yet she's doing far better on working relationships. You know, GCW, she's working with NWA. You know, she's reinvented herself. Why has WWE never let her do this sort of style? She looks phenomenal. You know, and it bugs me. It really has bugged me that you let a woman like that that's worked for X amount of things, broke records, and yet this is the best version of Natalia I've seen, if not ever. It just really bugs me, guys. It really does. You know, it's bugged me bad enough with the ticket sales situation. I'm not surprised there's so many people giving them backlash, and yet they're still selling. I don't know how they're selling. You know, it baffles me that people, and the way Ticketmaster or Live Nation, I think, do it as well, where you can spread the cost through PayPal. That's just mental, just thinking about it. You know, that's not just me bashing the company, that's actually fans themselves. That's just me being honest. Tell me your thoughts down below. And I'll catch you guys soon for another upload here on Open Mic Night. Like I say, it's night somewhere in this world. Until next time, guys, stay safe.